And here we are. We're live. Welcome to Game Central Junction, everyone. As always, I'm your host, Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, who is, as per the norm, not currently in the building. He's on his way, though. But he can say hi to you.
Hello.
Yeah. And we are live here on both YouTube and Kick, here to talk about all things gaming and the adjacent of interactive media. If you got toys, collectibles, stuff like that too, tabletop games, whatever, we can bring it up. Yeah, I'm always excited for the show. Always excited.
Yeah. I feel like I know a lot more on this subject than I do about most of the stuff we talk about on Mondays, but I enjoy them both.
Yep.
Typically.
So, get as many people in here as you can. Go share it out with your friends. Or not, I don't know. Maybe you like the chill environment of not having other people in here, and I don't blame you. Maybe you are trying to neuter us, and it's like, I respect that, though I would like more people in here. But, you know, totally. We all have our own personal interests in mind. But if at any point in time you happen to really like the show, you can also support it by giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Not necessary, just appreciated. And we'll get into things. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. I found out the other day that one of my new coworkers that was just hired is supposedly really into JRPGs, is what I was told. And so I asked him about it, and I specifically asked him about Dragon Quest, and he's like, "Oh no, I've not really played any of it." So I'm like, "Okay." So
I asked him about which JRPGs he liked, and then I got really judgmental.
That's right. Yeah. No, he said he's into Final Fantasy, so that's good.
Yeah. As long as it's the old ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of was turned off by the fact that he wasn't into Dragon Quest, so I shall never speak to him again.
Well, I don't even think I could call modern Final Fantasy a JRPG anymore. Not even because it's not an RPG. They do still have aspects of it that make it an RPG, but it's like they're not even trying to make it for the Japanese audience anymore. They're trying to make it international. So it's like, where's the Japanese in this?
Yeah, it's really weird, but and unfortunately, they've fallen for this trick or misunderstanding that everyone likes this series that we've always made specifically for the Japanese audience, so we need to change it to make it more appealing to the people who have already said they liked it how it was. It's like, wait, no. Keep making it for your, keep making it for the audience that you, don't change it. We like it how it is.
If anything, make it more Japanese.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, if another culture likes something in your culture, why change it to be more like theirs? So they're specifically liking a different culture.
Yeah, like if I want to play a Western RPG, I've got plenty of Western RPGs to play. I don't need it from your company.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to him more, see what other games he likes, or see what he likes about Final Fantasy. Or I won't grill him. I'll just chat whenever it comes up.
You have to grill him. Like this is an interrogation,
Yeah. Okay, I need to know. If you're worth my time, even acknowledging your existence.
Yeah. Have you played Suikoden? And if so, do you prefer 1 or 2? This is a very important question.
Clearly on point. Don't ask me. I haven't played it.
I know.
Have you?
I've played the first one. I haven't played the second one, so I actually don't have an opinion. I should play the second one. There's a lot of them I should play.
What is it like? I've looked at it. I remember thinking,
it's decent. With a lot of characters, like a ton of, like there's 100 characters. It almost, it's not a roguelike, but it almost feels like one because your run could be different every single time you play it.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does it encourage replay?
Oh yeah, that's the whole point of that game, is to encourage replay.
Oh,
which I thought was like the coolest part of old RPGs. I think I don't want an RPG to be more than, on a casual playthrough, 35 hours long, which is right around what like Final Fantasy VI is. I don't want it longer than that because I want to be able to play this game again.
Yeah.
I don't feel compelled to replay, I don't know, Final Fantasy 12. Actually, I have a couple times, but not like more than once a decade because Final Fantasy 12 is so long, right? We're talking like a 60-hour average play time. And it's like, okay, that's cool once a decade. I don't think I'm coming back again, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I often think about like, oh, I'd kind of like to play from the beginning again of certain games. But then I'm like, it's so
It's a
long.
commitment. That's why I haven't
know.
finished my second playthrough of Octopath Traveler. Yeah, the one that like I started on stream, because it's like one. I mean, streaming already is a time commitment. Like actually sitting down, mustering up the desire to hop on stream, having this scheduled kind of fixes that for me. Because I'm like, oh man, I have to meet the schedule. But like mustering up the desire to get on stream is already enough. But then to play like 120 hours of a game, which is how much I spent on my first playthrough of Octopath Traveler, it's like, God, I love the game, but do I want to play it again?
Yeah, it was funny. I know it's not exactly the same genre, but I remember reading an article about Fantasy Life and how they were saying, I think they said it's like 100 hours to 100% everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, that's good because I really, really like it, and I'm sure I'll.
It's a cool thing to do once.
Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, that article was 100% bullshit.
It was too low of a number.
Complete. Yeah. You can beat the game in that, or actually, you can beat the game far less.
Yeah.
But 100%, I don't think they knew what they were talking, because there's no fucking way that they raised every area of Gynermosia up to level 7 within 100 hours. Not to mention making all of the all of the best weapons and armor and stuff. Like, I'm almost 200 hours into it, and I'd say I'm about, probably about 80% of the way through the content, but maybe only halfway through. If I decide to do 100%, I will probably take another 200 hours because it's insane. I probably won't do that, but
it's just like I don't know if I'm ever
going
to play Tears of the Kingdom again, like ever.
Yeah,
it's just too long of a game for what I get out of it.
Yeah, no, I've been playing that, but I've not started over.
Yeah, that's one thing to jump into the file you already have, but like I don't think I'm ever going to start a new Tears of the Kingdom file, and because I don't have access to the file I played on, because I played with my brothers, I actually don't even know if I'll ever play the game again.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed. It's kind of sad because I agree, but I actually really enjoyed playing Breath of the Wild the second time in hero mode. I don't think I don't think I've even beaten sort of like all the DLC in hero mode.
I don't know if I have either, or at all, actually. Trying to think, in Breath of the Wild, did I do any of the DLC in the hardest difficulty? I don't think I had. Did I lose you? Because if you're talking, I cannot hear you. But, yeah, I think games are just too long these days.
There we go.
Oh, there you are.
It did the thing.
Okay.
It hasn't done that recently. I thought maybe they fixed it in the Discord app, but no. It cut me off as soon as they joined the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I just think games are too long in general now. I think that's what they're counting on. Sadly, because if you could play a game endlessly, if you can go back and play a game, what makes you actually want to buy the next game the company's putting out? I think a lot of these like more like all companies are money focused. That's not what I mean. All these monetization focused companies, where it's like selling you the next product is more important than selling you a good product. They're just like, yeah, no, we don't care if you want to replay this game. We only want you to play it once anyway. Buy it and then move on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really sad because, like, you know, when I used to be able to like get through a Final Fantasy game in a reasonable amount of time, then I'd always be looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Well, I think
I think I replayed, you know, most of them through 6 at least, and then I still would buy the next one. So.
Well, I've played every Final Fantasy, actually up to 12, not counting 11 because that's an MMO. Though I have gone back and played the MMO again since then. But I've played every Final Fantasy through 12 at least twice because I like the games, you know. But I think part of it is memory, right? People don't have to care about optimizing their games anymore. Right? And now that they have basically unlimited memory, a game can be as big as you want it to be. There's like, well, I'm just going to give you one really big experience you get once instead of like a 10-hour game that you could just replay every other weekend. Because that's all we could fit back then was like a 10-hour game.
I guess so. I mean, but that doesn't mean they have to do it that way.
No. But I think replayability in the old days came down to the limitations, right? Like RPGs were still bigger than most other things. They found ways of doing that. But on the whole, it was about like, most things were built around an arcade experience. And arcade experience was something that you were going to be done and then you play again some other time. Because that's what we could fit on the carts. I don't know if some of these devs ever wanted to do that in the first place. It just worked out for us because of the limitations.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's also probably why they made them so hard, because they couldn't make them nearly as expansive, but they had to increase the playtime by forcing you to, you know, play them over and over again to get good at them.
Yeah.
And they also, I think, had the mindset of the arcade, which was, of course, to make it hard so that you had to put more quarters in.
Yeah.
So,
but like with an arcade mindset in general, replayability is the entire thing. Even if, because there's some arcade games that aren't particularly hard, but the idea is like to get the most quarters out of you, we want to give you something you want to play over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe the first game I ever played that was designed for you not to restart. You could if you wanted to, but it was designed for you not to restart, is probably the second generation of Pokemon. Like, you could even make some arguments for the first generation of Pokemon, but like that game was still so short that you could go and you could catch all of the Pokemon that were available in the game if you didn't have like you had to go and meet Game Freak in person and at conventions or wherever they were putting things out to be able to get Mew. That was like the only way you could get, right? So if you count that out, and if you did get it, that makes you not want to restart. So maybe you got both versions. So one was like your replay version, and the other was your bank. But still, like, it was so short that I could go and spend a weekend catching all 150 Pokemon that are built into the game. That's not hard if that was all I was doing that weekend. But the second one was built around even more so trading between them, but also getting gifts from Game Freak, like the Pokemon Company, or also working backwards with the other one where you could battle. That I think like Gold and Silver was like the start of, we want you to, if possible, only ever play this game once and just continuously play it over and over again. Like have a single file, no restarting. It's just all plus time.
Well, but did they give you more like save slots?
No, there was only one save slot in the game. So like if you restarted it, you were nuking your whole account, basically. That's why I said that's the first one where it's kind of like this game is not intended for you to start over.
Yeah. That's what I feel like with Animal Crossing. I don't understand why they linked your island to your machine, to your Switch. I don't get it. Why did they do that?
I think it was to emulate the save slot nature of it, right? Because in old Animal Crossing games, you could have multiple people in the same town. And the way everything was hooked up to Switch users now, I think that was the only way they could emulate that, because each user is a save file. And if they didn't do that, then there would be a new island for every user, and you wouldn't be able to have multiple users on the same island.
Okay.
And this is just a problem
Weird.
with the way the Switch was done in general. Because there's a lot of games that still give you save slots, but there were a ton of games where your save slot is your user. So if you wanted a new save slot, speedrunners had this issue. You basically had to make a new user. A lot of times it would just be an offline user. And every time you want to start over, that other user, you would just nuke their progress.
Weird. I gotta use the bathroom, so I'll be right back.
I'll catch up with chat here. If his shows up, first thing he said was, just found out that Nikkei got us a victory as somehow a 12 plus rating. I don't know how you mean somehow. As somebody who plays the game as, like, sexualized as it seems, there's nothing in that game that doesn't pass at a teen level. Like literally, there is nothing in it aside from, like, the way the girls look. And you also never see any actual nudity, so, like, Nikkei passes for a T. Sorry to tell you that. Also, he says that Nintendo has gone insane, patenting every game mechanic they can, including summons. We are going to get into that with Pokemon in a bit. I've got stuff about Pokemon. Funny enough that I brought that up in this kind of, like, cold open conversation. Also, I guess it wasn't cold open because I jumped right into the title the second we got in. But I also got stuff about Animal Crossing we could talk about, since we also brought up Animal Crossing. We've got a ton of things. My tabs are full. So when he gets out of the bathroom, we'll start moving into stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up one thing. I don't think this will take very long. Just wanted to mention it. So, Asmongold has obviously been away from streaming for, I don't know how long. I've been like a week because it's added thick.
Yeah.
But he popped in yesterday and today to talk about Charlie Kirk. And rather than talk about what he talked about, I mean, obviously, it's pretty much the same thing that everyone else is saying. But I did want to bring up that he has started a community on X that people can join. It's called like Roach House or something like that. I'm sure you can
that's
find it.
Very Asmongold name, yeah.
Yes. But at least his stated purpose for it is for people to share examples of people in the game industry who are saying horrific things, celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So that, and then basically organizing people to call the companies, contact the companies, don't do anything physical or anything, but just talk to the companies and get them all fired. So he is absolutely balls to the wall. Cancel culture is ours now. We are going to use it without apology, and we are going to cancel these people, and we're going to get them fired.
I mean, if that's what he wants to do, more power to him.
Yeah. I thought that was amusing.
I won't be partaking in it, but like I understand why people would want to.
Yep. So I just wanted to bring that up just because it is a little different from what I've heard from most people. Although a lot of people are saying, I hope they get fired, blah blah blah. They're not like doing anything, so he's actually doing something.
Yeah. I don't know how effective this will be, though. It might be.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm wondering. I don't know.
Because my thing is, I kind of like the idea of, like, what do they call it, like a boycott or whatever, right? Where you just don't buy the thing.
Mhm.
Which is technically not a boycott. There is a difference to an actual boycott, and consumers don't really have the power of that. But I kind of prefer that, and for the company to learn why people aren't buying their game, than to call up and get people fired. Mostly because I think all that does is teach people to be more silent instead. But at the same time, I think actually maybe both of them might. I don't know which one's more effective, so it'd be interesting to see this as an experiment to find out if this is effective or not. Like, I'm not saying it won't be. I just genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I'm switching devices.
Mm-hmm. Fizz wants to know, is the content of Bayonetta different from Nikke? I think it depends on which Bayonetta we're talking about, because the later two are tamer than the first one, by far. But I would say, in nature, Bayonetta is a more sexual game than Nikke is. The characters in Nikke might seem to be more sexual in design, but like the actual content, the humor, there's a lot of actual sexual humor in Bayonetta, like innuendos and stuff like that. Bayonetta and the games are a lot more sexual. Also, in the first one, the non-Nintendo version, I think they modified it afterwards. She did like genuinely get naked when she did like the super move that took all of her outfit off. She didn't have like undergarments or anything underneath it. That's why I said that one's a little spicier than the ones that come after it.
Yes. I would say that it's a little bit different. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah. I you
like
know,
Bayonetta
it's
earns
kind of,
an M rating more than like Nikke earns a T rating.
yeah, I don't understand the concept of like, oh, there's a hot woman. She's fully dressed.
Yeah.
But very attractive, and therefore this game isn't for kids because there's an attractive woman. But yeah, Bayonetta, she actually like your clothes come off.
Yeah. I think the only thing that's really potentially sexualized in Nikke are the poses, right? Like it's clearly designed for you to be able to see the boobs and the butt jiggle, but that's still nothing more than what is appropriate for a T rating.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, yeah, I can't really remember like what I would have thought of that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have thought much of anything because they're not naked, and I guess I was a late bloomer. I probably wouldn't have had any sexual thoughts as a 12-year-old.
Oh, I don't think I would have liked Nikke until I was like 20, to be honest.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I definitely would have looked at some of these newer games, Western games, where the characters are just weird, like look weird in how ugly they are.
Yeah.
And been really turned off by that.
Yeah, I do find it funny
as it
though,
was
that the rating standard for Nikke is lower than YouTube's rating standards, right? Because I play it. I don't think there's things I probably wouldn't show somebody under that wasn't a teenager, but that's why it has a teen rating. And even then, maybe like it's gonna depend on your parentage, on whether you're even comfortable with your kid playing it. I wouldn't have a problem if I had a kid that was a teenager, but YouTube has more of a problem with it than like a ratings bureau ever.
Mhm.
They have to like make different versions of the outfits for YouTube sometimes, or they have to like censor it.
Yeah.
Which I find is hilarious. I'm like, but
like,
these don't
you
need
know,
censorship.
I'm sure when I went outside as a kid and, to things like, I'm sure I saw real people dressed more scantily clad than,
Oh yeah.
some of
like,
the things that you have to censor.
The most scantily clad stuff, the stuff that they censor the most, are all swimsuits. Which is like, if I go to the beach I
Yeah.
see women that look like, well, I mean, not proportionately look like that, but they're dressed like that.
Sure. Yeah, I'd been to pools and
Mhm.
beaches and like no big deal. They weren't fighting monsters, but
Yeah, and unlike real life,
uh,
because of the way it's designed, I don't have to worry about nip slip in Nikkei. At the beach, you might end up seeing more than you bargained for.
mhm.
Not to say that's a bad
mean,
thing, but
I
it might
went
be for a
to-
kid. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how old I was. My dad took me to Greece.
Yeah.
I was probably like 16, and we went to a nude beach. I mean,
And those are all
Why
over
not?
the Mediterranean.
of course, yeah, of course. I didn't see anything I really wanted to see. That's for sure.
Because
That's
a
for
lot
damn
of
sure.
old people like to go to nude
Yeah.
beaches, you know, because they
And
just don't
very
want to wear
large
clothes.
people.
You just like the old
Yeah.
flabby people.
Ugh, yes, that's
And
exactly what I
kids.
saw.
That's it, right? And like,
Ugh.
well, looking at the type of people
think
here,
I-
I don't think this is an inappropriate environment to bring your grandchildren because they're not even going to want to see anything. You know, like they're more focused on playing in the sand.
Yeah. But I remember when, games, but mostly, yeah, well, when I was a kid, the games didn't,
Yeah.
they were all pixels, but like movies and like kids' movies and stuff would have all kinds of adult references and potentially, sexy women and stuff like that. But like, it was understood that the kids wouldn't understand this anyway. This is more for
Yeah.
the parents. So, never seemed like that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, you know what's a funny thing bringing up nude beaches? Like, for people who go there, they're not that big of a deal, right? Like, if you're raised around nudity, people become comfortable with nudity and they don't, like, suddenly always see it as an erotic thing. I mean, you still get attracted to people. That happens. But the more you cover up on average, the more erotic you see any showing, right? It's like the old joke about, like, the Amish Sports Illustrated and she's showing her ankles. But there are some cultures where, like, if a woman is just, like, fully covered all the time, it is kind of spicy to see any amount of skin. It's all going to be vary from culture to culture and what you were raised around, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, now that I think about it, games didn't really have that, this aspect when I was a kid because it was all, on a computer even. It was like, what, 240 by 480? And
Oh, yeah, you were lucky if
on
the sprite you were playing was 8 pixels tall.
yeah.
Like, who's gonna get turned on by a woman who at most looks like the sign on the women's bathroom?
And, I don't mean this personally about anyone in particular. Seriously, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the hand wringing online is projection. It's
Oh, for sure.
it's like almost like anthropomorphizing, but it's not that because they are people. But imagining that children think the way that these people sometimes, the censorious people do. It's like, well, no, if you look at it through their eyes, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. And they're not going to be, going to become degenerates because an attractive woman was seen in a bathing suit. Oh my God. I mean, they're not naked. So what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Might have to put something in my background now. Scandalize the chat.
Listen, as long as it doesn't get us nuked from YouTube, I don't care what you put in your background.
He'll be fully clothed.
Okay.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I forget. We've got 2 different things to talk about if you want to move into other topics. We got something involving Pokemon and something involving Animal Crossing, which I found it was funny that we already touched on both of those games slightly with our kind of like intro dialogue.
Yeah. I didn't know there was news about those. Either
Well,
one's
one of
really
them is not news. What sort of? I guess technically it is. One of them's about an interview. I talked to you briefly about it the other day, about the localization of Animal Crossing, the original one. The other one is about Nintendo, technically the Pokemon Company, but Nintendo is one of the co-owners of the Pokemon Company, going kind of patent crazy again.
Yeah, I saw an article
Yeah.
where they talked to a former attorney, a former Nintendo attorney. Go ahead. We could do that one.
Sure. Let's move into it. So let me pull it up. There we go. So there's a new patent that Nintendo and Pokemon Company or whatever they're pulling out, where they're basically trying to, or they did patent it, not trying. It did go through, but we just don't know if it'll stick. Is more of the issue. For summoning creatures as a mechanic, like to do battle for you. The way it's not just about like the way Pokemon come out of balls like they did previously. It's actually summoning a pet to fight for you in general is the thing that they were patenting. Which I could think of plenty of other games that have done that before Nintendo bothered to patent it. But I can think about games that have done that before Pokemon even did that. They're not the original like monster catching game out there.
Yeah. I don't know if this is, I think this might be after Pokemon, but you can do that in like Diablo 2, right?
Yeah, but that would definitely be
had a
after
summon-
Pokemon. Yeah.
Summoned person, but is it specifically creatures or can it be people too?
It's hard to tell because let me see if I have the exact wording in front of me. No, the reference article I pulled up does not have the exact wording. It does have links to the patents. Let me see. Let's see if I can find the one that has this particularly. But I think it's related to just like summoning a pet. I don't think a pet is limited to a creature that like a non-human. Okay, no, this one is that's the original patent that they did on Power World. This one. Which, again, if I could think of anything, one of the oldest games to do that was the original Mega 10, right? Which is like the Digital Devil story. The Mega 10 franchise, which has now become the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. At one point, it got like a soft reboot or continuation going from Megami Tensei to Shin Megami Tensei. And that's what it's been like for decades now. But that is an older monster catching game than Pokemon is.
But wait a second. It says, okay, this article says they received the patent. They were actually granted.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like it's already gone through.
Oh, I thought that they were just applying.
No. This patent's gone through. So the problem now is, will it stick, right? Because if you granted a patent, it can be challenged in court.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it's crazy that people have to spend money to challenge.
Yeah. Even like Square's done stuff like that, right? Like, which this is after Pokemon, I believe, but Dragon Quest Monsters also does like the whole monster catching thing.
This is 49 pages long. Jeez.
Yeah.
How do I make this bigger?
And I don't think most companies are big enough that they'd want to challenge it in court, right? Like maybe I think the Power World company was still challenging Nintendo in court, even though they already changed their stuff for the previous patent. But how long can you continue to do that if you're not like a gigantic company? Atlas, though, I could see, because Atlas has Sega on top of them, I could see Sega challenging this on behalf of like the Megami Tensei franchise, which includes Persona and everything.
Mm-hmm. This is crazy. Yeah, okay, so I have the whole patent in front of me. Is this okay? September 9th. It was granted September 9th. They have a picture of a Switch.
Yeah.
Does it have to be on a Switch?
I don't think so.
I guess they're using it as an example. Wait, what? No, this is something to do with the Switch specifically. Like the first several pages have something to do with the Switch. It's really strange.
I had 3 patents in
Wording
front of me,
bird?
but they were mostly in Japanese, so I couldn't figure out which one I was supposed to be looking at.
Maybe this is the wrong one.
Yeah.
This has something to do with riding a bird or a fish or something.
So they did previously, though I think the one before this one, filed one for how they did the mount riding in Legends Arceus, or Arceus, I think is the technical English pronunciation of that word.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, but you could do this in Donkey Kong Country. It's like, oh wait, that's Nintendo.
That's Nintendo. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got the wrong patent, but this is still absurd. Just riding an animal around?
Yeah.
Really? Surely that's been done.
And these are, as far as I can tell, the only ones that have gone through are the patents in Japan locally. There was like one thing that went through when they tried filing like 20 patents in America, but like 19 of them got struck down. There's like, no, you can't patent this stuff. I can't remember which one it was.
These are in America, though.
Oh, is that one of the American
US
ones?
patent.
Okay. So I guess that's one of the ones that made it through. Because they tried doing like 20 different patents in the U.S. patent system. And like most of them got struck down.
Okay.
All the ones I saw were filed
So,
in Japanese. So like I don't know.
Oh, no, this is U.S. patent. It's confusing because it's really long numbers. U.S. patent number 12,409,387 has to do with riding, smooth switching of riding objects. But a week ago, on September 2nd, they were granted by the U.S. Patent Office patent number 12,403,397, which covers the fundamental gameplay mechanic of summoning a character and letting it fight another.
No, I think one of the problems here is that video games are a wild west of patent law, right? Like the patent office doesn't know anything about this, really. Like they don't know how it should be. Their job is to check to see if there's other patents, if it fits normal patent law, and then to approve things that don't, bounce back against any of the boxes that say it should bounce back against. I think this needs to be taken to court because I actually don't think you should be able to patent video game mechanics, especially because like all you're doing is you're making something happen in simulated space. But what if somebody makes it happen to where it functions the same way, but it operates completely different in the background? Right? Like they just came to the same thing their own way.
Yeah.
Like why should that even be able to be patented in the first place?
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of like if you were to make a movie and you patented some move that a character in the movie makes. I'm gonna patent the idea of, James Bond going and getting gadgets that don't do what they look like they should do or something like that. It's like no other character in any movie can ever do that.
Yeah. It'd be different if you were like
or something. Yeah.
Michael Jackson patenting his shoes that have like the wedge in it so that he can hook it onto a nail on stage and do his lean forward. He wouldn't be patenting the lean forward move. He'd be patenting the device he made that lets him do the move. That would be two different things.
Yeah. Did he really use a device to do that?
Yeah, that lean forward, he actually had special shoes that had like a wedge in the front so he could hook it onto like bolts or nails on the stage. So he would like move into it, and once he could feel that it was in place, he would do the lean forward because physics wouldn't allow him to do it otherwise.
You know, Pee Wee Herman did that move. But he had to have special shoes.
Yeah, so did Michael Jackson. He had to have special shoes for it.
Yeah, apparently.
But it's like that's what it comes down to. It's like you can't patent a move, but you could patent an actual thing you invented that lets you do the move, and then you could just let other people try to do it some other way, or they could buy your shoes from you.
Or at least something. I mean, I don't have a problem with it theoretically, but like it has to be something innovative. This isn't innovative. Like, okay, we're going to patent a special way that we program the game to display, I don't know,
I'd be
flicker
fine with that.
in a unique way.
If you can patent the
display
background
colors in some way.
right?
Yeah.
It's like a
Some way
magic
that
trick.
nobody's ever thought of.
You can patent the tools for a magic trick, but if somebody else figures out how to do the magic trick their own way, you can't do anything about that.
You can't stop them from doing the trick.
Yeah.
Right?
Because fundamentally, it
So-
looks like the same trick to the audience, but it's actually a different trick because you're doing it differently. That right? So like display and code should be different. You shouldn't be able to patent display, but I'm fine with you patenting code.
Yeah. Now, code, by the way, if you didn't know, is copyrighted, just like any other written work, just automatically. It's funny, when I was working when I had a consulting company, a software development company, it was written into my contract, but I mean, it was already law, but it was, it was Tennessee law. But it was written into my contract that we owned the code that we wrote. We owned the patent, or not the patent.
The copyright.
What is it? The copyright.
Yeah.
I'm confused. To the code that we wrote, because here's the thing. If we had a customer come to us and say, we want you to do this menu thing in a specific way, and we wrote the code to do that. Now, they would own the code because they paid money for it. But if some other customer says, well, we want this other thing,
They couldn't prevent you from reusing the code that you own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because we'd just be opening ourselves up to lawsuits all the time. Because it's like, well, I learned how to do this special thing. I can't unlearn it. And then it's like, I'm going to probably use that knowledge with other projects. But anyway.
Yeah, that'd be like if a publishing house told you, you can go to this other publishing house, but you can't write a book in your voice. It's like, I could maybe come up with something that's slightly different, but it's impossible for me not to use any part of my voice whatsoever when writing, because it's how I learned to write.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a slightly different topic from what we were talking about. Or like a studio can say, well, you can't, to a voice actor, you can't do the voice of this character because it's our character, but we can't stop you from using your own voice, which you can't say, oh, I'm Goku or whatever.
Yeah, actually, the thing is, they can't stop you from doing the voice of that character fully. There's some things around it. Like, they could stop you from associating the voice you're doing with that character, right? Like, maybe you can't go to a convention and be like, I'm doing the voice of Mario. But, like, because it is your voice, you could do a parody of that character, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. And it can sound exactly like it, really. Yeah. Like, they say Tom Kenny can't do SpongeBob.
Well,
but he can. He just can't do it as SpongeBob for somebody else.
He can't be like, hello, I'm SpongeBob. He can do it and say, hello, I'm Tom Kenny in that voice. There's nothing, they can't stop him from speaking.
Yeah, they could, like, part of his contract, they could say there's certain mannerisms you can't do because we're tying this mannerism to the character.
Like to laugh.
Yeah, and if you break this, we'll release you from the contract and maybe even get you on, like, what's it like the penalties for breaking the contract and everything, but they can't actually stop you from using your voice.
Yeah, but that's kind of a different topic. It's
It
very
is.
much a different topic. But anyway, I'm just reading this, and it is shocking because it's so like, does the patent office? I've heard of them denying patents because it's not innovative, but I guess probably mostly just when they find another patent that is the same. I'm guessing nobody was
there are
crazy enough.
certain checks where it's like you can't do this because it's just like common, right? Like something that's old enough that is similar, like it's effectively public domain. It's like you can't patent a crescent wrench because the crescent wrench has been around longer than the patent office has been, or something like that, you know? But
okay, can I read you the summary here?
sure.
Performing control of causing a sub-character to appear on the field based on a first operation input. When an enemy character is placed at a location where the sub-character is caused to appear, I guess like when they're right on top of each other, controlling a battle between the sub-character and the enemy character by a first mode in which the battle proceeds based on an operation input. When the enemy character is not placed at the location where the sub-character is caused to appear, starting an automatic control of automatically moving the sub-character that has appeared, and forming control of moving the sub-character in a predetermined direction on a field based on a second input, and when the enemy character is placed at the location of designation, controlling a battle between the sub-character and the enemy character by a second mode in which the battle automatically. That's very specific.
It is.
Maybe it's not, you know, that's not, like, is there even a game that does that?
Yeah, basically any game that's like Pokemon.
But Pokemon doesn't do that. I mean, you don't tell your character to move to a place and then it has an automatic battle.
In some Pokemon games, right? So the main ones, which they're trying to drift away from how Pokemon used to be, it would be technically you do tell your character to go to a place, but all of this happens automatically. Is you pick your character, it spawns at a spot in the field, but it's the only spot it can spawn on the field. Period. Like it's not going to spawn anywhere else. And then you give it commands to do the battle, and then it will move on its own after you give the command, which will do animations. Even in the older games, that's technically how it worked. And then after it does its command, the enemies will, like any enemy in a turn-based RPG, run through its gambit of commands, and then you return to giving your Pokemon a command, and then it does the thing, right? And a lot of the newer ones that do actually involve moving around, like the Legends games, I think this is typically built more around the Legends games, where you can walk around and rotate where your person is in battle, right? Your Pokemon does kind of move a bit.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, and see, the thing is, I feel like they've made this so specific that it would almost be hard to infringe. Like you'd have to almost be trying, because you have to have both modes. You have to have a mode where when you summon them close by or on an enemy, you control the battle. When you summon them and have them move somewhere else, from what I'm reading, you don't control the battle at all ever.
Which that happens in the Legend game, right?
Automatic
like there is like an auto grinding section in there. I think they even do that in Scarlet and Violet, maybe a little bit too. I'm trying to remember if that happens. But there's like where they do a quick battle system where they try to, like, you throw the Pokemon out and it just you see them scruff at each other and then the battle ends, right? Without you actually doing a full battle. Right. So that's what they're doing in current Pokemon games. But that's also kind of similar, maybe because you don't summon the thing to get into battle, but it's kind of similar to something that happens in the Persona games, where you can actually have your party members, because technically in a Persona game, you play the main character, right? But you can have your party members kind of do like quick grinding, where you see them and like dust clouds going on between the demons in the area, and then it auto ends before you even go in battle while you're walking around. Like that's very, very similar to something that already exists in the Persona franchise.
But can you ever control that other character and control the battle?
You can control them in battle when you actually enter the battle, because you control the whole party when you're in battle. That's why I say it's not exactly, but it's pretty close to stuff that already happens in the Persona franchise. The only thing that saves them is that Persona's the least like Pokemon out of all the Mega 10 games, because there's no capturing or anything like that happens in Persona. These are fixed party members that are your friends. You're not like sending... And that's why I think Persona wouldn't violate it, because you're not sending a pet to battle. You're sending your other party members.
Well, it just says character.
Oh, well, then maybe.
So, yeah, the actual patent says a sub-character, by which they mean a character other than the main character. But here's the thing. The way I read it is that this does not include a fight where you and the sub-character are in a battle and you control both of them. It seems like it's specifically only the other character. Like, you are no longer controlling your main character. You're now controlling the other one.
Yeah. No, Persona, you control the whole party the entire time that you're in an actual battle. But it does do that other thing where you can send the sub-character to do the clashing part.
Yeah. It. I don't think that matters. I think it has to have both modes. I don't think one or the other is enough.
I don't think they should be patented.
I don't think so either, but I mean, as I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know that any other game does do this exactly, and I feel like it would be extremely easy to avoid doing it. So I don't know that this gives them much of anything.
I don't think you should have to. I think somebody in software, in gaming specifically, needs to bring stuff like this up to a court case, because I think there needs to be some type of like landmark court case that hashes out what can, if anything, be patented in video games.
Yeah, I think it sets a really bad precedent, because it's just, okay, that's the way you chose to do the mechanics of your game. I don't even see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's to stifle competition.
The worst.
Even if it's like very, very specific, it is genuinely just to stifle competition. It's to prevent people from ever wanting to do it the same way. So they're the only people in the,
I almost think the first one is, well, the one that was, awarded 2 days ago is worse, because it's like...
Oh, the Mount one?
I could probably think of a...
I think that was
a
way
lot
worse.
of games that do that.
Yeah.
Selected based on the selection operation. Jesus Christ. I haven't deeply read into that one. It seems like maybe... no, I mean, I think it's pretty basic. It's just, you can switch to your writing. Fantasy Life does this. You press a button and your mount appears, and you now, I don't know if it might not, because the mount doesn't appear in front of you and then you have to like mount it. It's just, you're either riding or you're not.
Oh, no, I thought this patent had to do with the quick swap specifically. So it's like, in the middle of riding one mount, you can swap to the other one, because they do different things, right? Like, there's a water mount, there's a climbing mount, there's a flying mount or whatever that acts like a glider. So you can like go from one to the other seamlessly without having to like dismount. I think that's what it was about.
Confusing as hell.
Because I keep bringing up the quick mount system, like in the name of it and all the language. And in Legends Arceus, you can go from water to ground to air seamlessly. Like, you switch from one to the other. You don't have to dismount.
Oh, I see. It's actually even. Oh no, you do still have to. I thought it was like an auto like you're riding something that's on land, and then you touch the water, and suddenly it
No.
changes
You have to
something
hit
else,
to
like-
switch to it. Yeah.
It's really confusing. Yeah, you're right though. It is like if you're riding something on land and you're at the edge of the water and you push the button, it'll switch to a dolphin or whatever. Yeah, this is all bullshit.
Yeah. Horrible.
Like just make your game better than others. Like I guess it all just started. I mean, did it all start with Pocket Pair being just so blatant about their stealing?
I don't know.
Honestly,
I think it's almost independent of that, but it's an attack of opportunity at the same time. I think
yeah.
independent of the Pocket Pair stuff, Pokemon's been on the decline, mostly because of Game Freak more than anything, but also how the Pokemon Company has
Yeah.
been ran, and their games just aren't to the standard of what they are. A lot of the people running it don't care about them as much as they used to, specifically at the Game Freak side. But also, it's like they're trying too much and they're not good at what they're doing, right? I think Pokemon was great when it was a top-down, sprite-based game where you went into battle encounters. When they started going 3D, it was okay at first, but they were like a kid, right? Where your eyes are too big for your stomach. That's kind of how they've been with their games. They've been too ambitious, trying to do things that they cannot pull off, and it's been hurting all of the other stuff that used to be good about the games. I think that has way more to do with it than the whole Pocket Pair thing. Not to say that it doesn't have anything to do with it. But Pocket
like,
Pair
are they
doing
just
their thing is also a symptom of it because they're coming in on the wake of people being dissatisfied with Pokemon games.
Yeah. Are they doing it just to build up a patent portfolio so that they can sell out? I mean, like, I don't think so, but
No.
like,
I think they're doing it so people have
I
to
don't-
keep playing Pokemon if they want that type of stuff.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I can see the whole like, because yeah, before they filed a patent, I guess anyone could just make a Pokemon game, but just with different characters,
Yeah.
right? But I feel like that would be a copyright infringement, right?
Well,
I feel like Pocket Pair
the
infringed
problem
copyright
is,
more than
what part of the copyright's being infringed? Like, if you change literally everything except for, like, the core of how the game played, right? You had all your own original characters and monsters and everything. All your moves are original. The names of everything's original. The aesthetics are original. Like, what part of copyright are you actually infringing?
Well, I feel like maybe you could copyright very specific mechanics. Maybe
the aesthetics of stuff, right? Because that's more of the copyright areas, aesthetics, right? Like if you wanted to copyright maybe the explosive kind of like digital glow, the burst from when the Pokeball opens. It's like, okay, that's a visual thing. I could see you kind of copywriting that, right? Especially like specifically the way a Pokeball opens like a clamshell and there's like a big burst of light that comes out of it. And
yeah. You know what is interesting is that this new patent with the gameplay mechanics, I mean the fighting with a sub character, it does also specify a ball. So, and I see at least someone on Reddit, be that as it may, is pointing out, okay, what if you do all this stuff but you use a cube instead of a ball?
Yeah, which was kind of like what they were saying when they first did the whole catch and release thing, their earlier patent against Pocket Pair, or that people think was targeted at Pocket Pair. I think that one probably was a little bit more targeted, but it's like, like they just don't use a ball anymore. You know, you just tap your hip and it comes off your belt immediately. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, they did change that, and I know I saw other examples of games that were just like Pokemon, except you like threw a kind of a frisbee thing, instead of a ball. It's like, if
Or
that's
like,
enough,
Digimon,
to
right? You just
overcome
hold out.
this?
You could hold out the Digivice, and it could just like beam out of it, right? You don't have to throw it or anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is all a waste of money for them. And yeah, I don't know that.
I think it's
gonna
bad
hold up.
law. I think that's the bigger problem. It's
Is anyone gonna sue them? I mean, you'd have to go through the.
I think it would be the other way around, though.
Or do you
Nintendo
sue
them because somebody's violating their patent? Like, what if somebody, when Nintendo does this, it's big. It's big, right? Everybody's paying attention, so maybe they don't have to. But what if you're just a dev and you didn't know this happened? You were already working on something, you put it out, and then all of a sudden you get a slap from Nintendo. Like, Nintendo's the one that's to slap you for violating their patent.
But like, the problem is that no company in their right mind, unless they want to waste money, is going to come close to, violating.
Yeah.
Even if they think it's, bull. Like, how do you challenge? You can challenge a patent's validity even if you haven't been sued by filing administrative proceedings at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, such as a post-grant review or inter parte review.
You can challenge patents on principle, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is either point out that other games have done this from other companies or close enough, or say that it's too broad or something. Or
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I don't know why. Frog in my throat. It's the problem though, is that it's so specific.
Yeah.
They are very specific. I don't know. Well, I'm not going to do it, but I hope somebody files a what do you call it? A challenge. It's ridiculous. What are you thinking? What were they thinking? They're probably thinking, oh, we got $1 billion fucking dollars, or several billion, 100 billion, whatever. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. Like,
I remember
nobody knows how much money Nintendo themselves have in the bank. Like, it is unknown. The only people who know is the Japanese government and Nintendo. Those are the only two entities that know how much money they have. And Pokemon alone has so much money. You don't even want to begin to know what a 200-year-old company like Nintendo has.
Well, I remember probably several decades ago hearing that, Nintendo, this was probably when, Sega was getting out of the console business, and there's talk of, well, how much money does, Nintendo have? And I remember hearing the 100 million, I think it was $100 million figure floating around back in the late 90s. Now it's got to be 100 billion. I don't
know. It's crazy. I remember during the Wii U, while it was failing, one of the Nintendo Japan execs came out and said that Nintendo could fail for the next decade straight and it wouldn't hurt them. That's how much money they have in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but do they actually, is that actually just like in a savings account, or is it tied up in investments?
Don't know how that works.
I mean, but it's probably not a savings account, but like bonds, basically.
I think it's probably like the equivalent
assets.
of like bonds or whatever, right? Because there's a lot of companies that are just that big in Japan, especially older ones, where like the Japanese economy relies on the fact that they're that rich, because a lot of the government's money is their money. Like there's almost no difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yamaha's
it's
odd because
and so is Toyota.
Yeah, like most American companies, when they get more money than they know what to do with, they'll invest. They'll buy other companies. They'll buy stock in other companies. But that's risky. But it often pays off, but it's very risky. I feel like there's a culture that's very, very conservative when it comes to money, So it's like, let's buy some gold and government bonds and CDs or something. Let's get a money market account with this $100 billion. It's like,
I like CDs.
Yeah, well, they're a good investment.
Yeah.
Assuming you're talking about the monetary.
Yeah. We're talking about the compound deposits.
Investment. Yeah. Compact discs aren't so much of a good investment anymore.
No.
Plus, what are you gonna do? Just stack them up. But it's weird. I'm curious. I wonder, like, I imagine. I mean, they must get a return on it, and of course, they do have that peace of mind where it's like, yeah, we could like fucking lose billions over 10 years, and no big deal.
Yeah.
But like, is that better or worse for their economy than if they did use it to buy up other companies and stuff? Because I mean, look at Disney. They could have just had trillions of dollars, but they bought real estate and 500 other companies, and
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on how your economy works, right? Because there's not one way to run an economy. There are several ways that are functional. And Japan used to have a way that was all about sustainability for a really long time until they started working more on like a growth-based economy like we do. And the problem is that's good until you start to dip below replacement rate. And then that starts to like really bite back on you. And they're trying to change back to more of like that sustainable economy that they used to do. Their whole like, we want to try to freeze inflation and everything like that. That's like an active measure that they're doing right now. And they were doing just fine back when they operated that way. Like they were still one of the top economies in the world. So I don't know. It's like maybe for their society and culture, it just works better to function that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have such a, I guess I forget sometimes, we have such a laissez-faire kind of economy where we allow companies like Disney to be like multi-trillion-dollar worldwide. I mean, if you add up all of their sub-companies, I mean, it's got to be a decent-sized country in terms of net worth. Not even a small country, like a medium-sized country. It's crazy. Maybe even a large country.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
they look at Apple probably has like the GDP of South Africa,
Yeah. It's funny because Apple and Microsoft keep changing places.
Yeah.
In terms of value. Of course, that's all based on like their stock price.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But I guess maybe it's, See, I don't even know if when you look up like the most valuable companies in the world, does that even include like all of their subsidiaries and everything?
I have no clue. I think.
God, you know what?
I think, what speculation markets have completely destroyed our understanding of the value of things.
Yeah. Okay, I forgot about this. I knew this, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Who knew AI would come along and fucking NVIDIA would become the most valuable company in the world?
Yeah.
By far. I mean, they blew past Apple and Microsoft. They are easily number one.
Well, and the problem is, like, how long are they going to
that.
stay number one, though? Because how much of that is true value?
Well, that's a good question.
Because a lot of AI right now, like, forms of AI are going to be around a lot in the future. But especially with, like, the LLM thing, which is what everybody is dealing with, the large language models, that's kind of a bubble. It's not even, like, the most powerful version that AI could be, but it's what everybody's messing with, and it's what everybody's relying on. And that bubble could pop at, like, any moment, especially as language models are starting to hit the wall of language. Like, there's a limitation with language in general, and you have to start stacking other things on or coming up with new models. So it's like, I don't know, how long is that going to last, and how much of that is actual value? And that's another issue with like speculation markets.
Yeah. I mean, I get the feeling, but I could be completely wrong because it's with a bubble, it's hard to tell if it's really a bubble or how long it's going to last. If it's going to last forever or whatever. It feels like it's only going to get bigger. But goddamn, how does a fucking graphics card maker?
Well, the reason I think
just make these specialized chips.
This particularly is a bubble and not AI as a whole. It's a bubble because everybody is going with the hype, and there's tons of things that are getting involved with like AI and language models where they don't even need it involved in their stuff, right? Like it's almost like pyramid scheme levels of involvement where after it settles down, we'll probably be able to see what the actual value is. But you see like Disney's going all in on AI, like ad companies are going all in on AI, and a lot of our economy is just wrapped up in advertisement. Like that is one of the largest sectors of our entire economy is advertisement. And you've got all these companies that are going all in on AI, especially where they just don't even need it. So that's the part of it that I think is a bubble that's going to pop, because I think they're going to find out the hard way where they don't need to be investing in AI.
Yeah. It's crazy. I was comparing the market cap of the companies to GDP of countries, but that's not really a good comparison.
No, it's not really.
Because that's GDP is more like revenue.
Yeah.
To a company. Wow. You know what? You were absolutely right, because if you look at revenue, fucking Nvidia's not even in the top 17. Wait, where are they? They're number 39.
Yeah.
What's up with their market cap? Yeah, that does sound like a bubble, because they're over $4 trillion in market cap, but their revenue, I mean, this isn't even profit, just revenue. 165 billion compared to Walmart, which is number one, just almost 700 billion.
And it makes sense too, because I get how many people go to Walmart every single day?
Yeah.
Right.
They're huge. Man, is Disney even on here? I don't even see it. Anyway. That is a telltale sign, I think, that Nvidia's market cap is insanely high compared to their revenue.
Yeah.
I think it's all speculation.
It's all hype.
They're saying, oh, well, AI, it'll never stop growing. Things only get bigger. What do you mean?
Yeah,
we never get smaller.
Especially when it comes to language models. Like I said, we're already hitting some walls.
Yeah.
Not to say that they aren't walls people can't get past, but you should be a little more hesitant when you're already seeing walls.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I watch Scott Adams every morning, and he talks about robots, and he's like, "Why can't we ever get a robot that does more than one thing?" He's like, "You're gonna have to have a separate robot for folding your shirts versus making you coffee or whatever." And he's like, "What if the shirt is slightly strange shape? Is it gonna be able to figure that out? Maybe not." Yeah,
and we're getting better at that, but part of it is complexity. Well, people don't realize part of it is AI, right? But people just don't realize how complex everything we do every day is.
Yeah, or how complex our brain is, We, in some ways, we work as a large language model, but
in many ways we don't.
That's a small, Yeah. I think they're going to have to come up with some other way, because I don't think that's going to lead us to general AI.
We don't do all our thinking in our head. Like, the main active cognitive thinking, the narrative that you think you're doing is in your head. But, the primitive brain is the spinal cord, right? The brain adapts out of it. The brain stem is the earliest version of the brain. But, a lot of our thinking is actually spread out throughout our entire body. You've got neurons throughout your entire body.
I'd even go farther than that. I don't think it's just the neurons. I think you have to have an entire body. I mean, you can be missing a hand and you think just as well, but I think having some sort of physical presence also gives us.
I was thinking about this exact thing when I was going to my
lead to
walking
outputs.
earlier today. I was thinking exactly about this. People with different bodies think differently too, right? Like what your body is actually trains you how to think, right? So like a lot of people, especially in the Western world, it wasn't always like this. Some people used to think on base 12 because they counted differently. But base 10 makes a lot of sense because we've got 10 digits on our hands, right? So it's easy to count that way. If you had the dominant gene that hardly ever shows up, but if you have it, it guarantees this is happening to you, to where you have an extra finger and you have 6 fingers on each hand, you might naturally start counting more in 12s than 10s, right? Because you'd have 12 fingers total. And then somebody who is blind doesn't think of space in the same way that somebody who has vision is, right? If you were born blind or whatever. A lot of your thinking is dependent on the body itself.
Yeah, I mean, people who are taller think about certain things differently from shorter people. I mean, men and women, you know, a big, strong man is going to see another human being walking down the street and be like, think nothing of it. And some woman's going to be like, oh my God, that guy could kill me like in a second.
Yeah.
You know?
But even like other things that you would never think about, like a person with webbed toes would think about like walking differently than somebody without webbed toes, right? Because that would make a drastic change on your ability to navigate the world. And a lot of our thinking is just genuinely our ability to navigate the world.
Yeah, and it's influenced by how your body works. I think people, you know, I'm pretty sure there's more depression in people who are, you know, chronically ill or just, you know, are overweight and those sorts of things. And it, you know, it's hard to tell which causes which, but they're you know, it's reinforcing. I don't know. How would we get on this topic?
We talked about AI, right? Oh, it's like, and you talked about like Scott Adams, right? With the why can't a robot not do things? The problem is because like when you build a robot, you need to build mechanisms for the robot. We have to work almost backwards, right? We're putting consciousness into a body. We're not letting consciousness arise from a body, right? So like we've got this thing that's built. Now we need to figure out, how do I need to program this thing to operate? When that's not how we came about. We came in the opposite direction, where it's like we're forming operations out of actually moving through the world.
Yeah, and gradually, forming consciousness from the how we have to interact with the world as we. Yeah, it's a little backwards, and I just don't see. I mean, unless it would have to have nerves and stuff, be able to feel things and feel wind
and it needs desires. That's a big thing too. Like one of the things that push us through the world is that we have needs that we need to fill. One thing that I always said a long time ago is like, if we were actually going to get thinking robots, like robots that actually thought like people did on any degree, the first thing would probably come out is automated cars, right? Because if a car actually has to fuel itself, right, like it has to go and has to make sure that it keeps its fueled up and stuff, you start emulating more of the desires that humans have. And I mean, you could probably do that in a walking robot too. Like maybe this is something that Elon Musk's company is starting to realize, that maybe if the robot is taught that like it will die if it doesn't keep itself charged, that will actually start pushing it closer to consciousness, because it has to think about, I need to refuel, right? Now, unlike us, it won't actually die. Somebody else could plug you in and charge you again, but it's those kind of things. Like maybe an automated car actually makes money, right? Like you have to let it be an independent entity, and you don't pay a company. Maybe they'll take like their cut from it, like a tax or whatever, the ones that made it. But like the car itself keeps so much money because it needs to pay for its parking and its fuel or whatever. That's the kind of things you need to do if you want to push something to being more like a living being. It has to have those features.
I don't know if I want my car to be like screaming at me when it's low on gas or whatever, being like,
well, then don't get an automated car.
I'm gonna die.
No. To be honest, I don't want an automated car anyway. I don't want my car to be alive.
I will say I have ridden in a Waymo once and it was fantastic. It was amazing. I loved it.
I want to go back to how cars were in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want Hummers to go back to that.
Oh yeah,
Can't
for
get
sure.
a decent Hummer, I mean, the car. Like you can't get a gigantic one that doesn't fit anywhere.
But like maybe you could probably do maybe the thing with a vacuum cleaner, right? You can make like a small like a Roomba type thing that has to
Oh, yeah.
think, and same thing. It's like maybe the Roomba might have an existential crisis if it doesn't get charged, but that's fine because the Roomba never leaves your house anyway. It's not too far from an outlet.
I don't know. I've seen all this on the Jetsons, where like every device also has a consciousness, and it's always complaining.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't
making
want it to have
sarcastic
that.
remarks.
Listen, I've also been the same.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
don't
want
want my,
less smart things in the house because smart things also have to connect to the internet, and it's like you're using up the Wi-Fi. Please go away. I want dumb things in the house. I want the toaster to just be a toaster.
Yeah. I don't want it to be like, nagging me to get wheat bread.
I'm just saying, like, if you're
have
trying
you ever
to
tried rye? I'm like, I don't like it.
if you're trying to experiment with making life, you could try something like that. I'm not saying we need to make products like
This reminds
this.
me. This reminds me of the butter robot where he's like,
Yeah.
what is my purpose? And he's like, you bring butter. It's like, oh my God. That's his only purpose in life.
Yeah. Which actually almost seems backwards because meaning seems to derive from purpose. If you actually had something that you were born for, you're probably going to have a more meaningful life than somebody who has to try to find their purpose. Like the butter robot should be ecstatic.
guess so.
It's alive now. It's conscious. It's like, what's my purpose? You make butter. It's like, hell yeah. Like all I have to do is spread butter every time. I don't have to do anything else. Is the only thing I have to do. And I'm the best at it. You made a robot specifically for it. Meaning, baby.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, damn, I'm good at my purpose in life.
Yeah.
I have one at life, right? It's awesome.
It's like your purpose is inventing
Well,
things,
what-
and not all of them are great. Like
Yeah. You're kind of hit or miss there, buddy.
yeah. But I get that butter on that bread every single time.
Yep. So what's the Animal Crossing?
Oh yeah. So recently,
wanna-
with I guess we can move on to that. Where is it? It is called Time Extension. It's like a digital magazine type website, right? Where they do articles, blah blah blah. They had an interview with Leslie Swans, which a former localizer at Nintendo from around the time period that the original Animal Crossing was being localized. And there's all kinds of cool bits of information that came out in this interview. I read it like a few days ago when it came out, so I'm trying to remember the exact things I want to go on. It's a pretty long interview. Traditional format where it's like, question, answer. But it shows things from Mario 64 to like the Mario comics and stuff that were happening at the time. Just things involving Nintendo Power. We've got things with, I'm trying to remember some of the other games that are in here. Pokemon, actually, the localization of that too. But the coolest thing, Hey You Pikachu's section was pretty cool too. The coolest thing was with Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing was a game that for like a year or so after it came out, the team wanted to get it localized. Actually, they wanted to try to start localizing it before the game finished. But the higher ups,
you told me. We were
yeah,
talking about this.
yeah, and the higher up in Nintendo was just like, you can't localize this game. This game is going to be impossible to localize. I don't think you'll even get people at the team over at Nintendo America to want to localize this game. One of the big problems is that like it's very Japanese. If you know anything about the original version of this game, it is a very, very Japanese game. A lot of the items were Japanese, but like all the holidays it was centered around were Japanese. A lot of the characters' personalities were Japanese tropes, and they would say phrases that may not make sense if you try to translate it. But the thing is, Nintendo of America, at that time at least, was kind of like in charge of which games they localized. Like their whole job was like picking out games that they thought would do well in America and localizing it. So there was a conversation between the creator of Animal Crossing and the localizer, and he basically sold them on the idea. I think Leslie in here said too that the game seemed like really fun and that American audiences would like the gameplay of it. And they went up to Iwata, who was the president at the time. He was president for the longest time, for most of the high point of Nintendo, like through the 90s and the aughts and everything. And when they told him that they were going to localize Animal Crossing, he bursts out laughing. Like, almost uncontrollably. He just starts laughing. He's like, that's going to be a nightmare to localize, right? I don't even know if you guys can do it. And part of it wasn't just how Japanese it is. Because it is very, very Japanese. It's the charm of the game. But it's also how many lines there are in the game. That game had more written words in it than, like, any game Nintendo had made up to that point. Probably a few of the games on the 64 combined, it still had more words in it. And this was a 64 game at the time that they were trying to localize it. Since they never ended up finishing the localization before the GameCube came out, that's why we never got that attachment to the bottom of the 64 that adds like a digital clock to your game. It ends up being made for the GameCube, and they did exactly that. They localized the whole game. They switched a lot of things out with Americanisms, just to be able to make some things work, which a lot of people might be like, that's a bad idea. But at the time, nobody knew any different. Like, you didn't really have access to the original game unless you imported it and understood Japanese. You could play like an American translation of the original game now, but it's still rough. And I specifically say American because it's English, but it's all like American characters, right? It's not like your randomly British characters or anything in there. The funny thing about that, though, is that version that got localized was so popular because of all the localizations that the Japanese wanted it basically relocalized back, just translated into Japanese, but keep all of like the American holidays and stuff in it. And that became the Animal Crossing, I think it's called E+, like Extended Plus, because technically we got Animal Crossing Extended. There was more stuff in our version than the original N64 version. And then they brought it back and made it Animal Crossing Extended Plus, which is a Japanese version of it. And that's the only version you can find now.
GameCube.
Yeah. But I just found it so funny because, again, many games are talked about in this interview. It's a really good interview. You should go and read it if you haven't. I put it in our Discord, but you can find it on timeextension.com. WarioWare is talked about in it. Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. We've got Hey You Pikachu is talked about in it, which is one of my favorite novelty games on the 64. Pokemon Gold and Silver and stuff's talked about in it. Mario 64. But the Animal Crossing section I thought was the most interesting section of the interview, because at no point did I ever think that this game was a nightmare to localize, even though I know a lot about the differences in the games. I should have figured that it was a nightmare to localize, but I didn't think it was so ridiculous that the person who's in charge of your company, the same man who went and personally saved some games with like his coding and compression prowess, laughed at you for wanting to localize it. Like, something has to be difficult if Iwata thought it was a ridiculous task.
Yeah. It's funny because at the time, I'm sure it was the biggest game ever in terms of dialogue.
Yeah.
But like nowadays,
nowadays
I'm sure
it's
the
nothing.
original Animal Crossing. Yeah. But they have like people localizing as they go instead.
Oh yeah. Well, and also you got to think too, the localization department is a lot bigger than it used to be. You used to have like a single person per game, right? So it's like, I don't know if that was the case here, because Swan doesn't talk about more people working on it with, but I think Swan was like the only person touching this game. So I had to go through all of that dialogue and localize it. Now you can separate it. Like you'll have a team of localizers for something that big or bigger, right? Like you'll localize this section, I'll get this section. We'll share notes to make sure that we're not like crossing streams and accidentally localizing the same thing in 2 different ways, but we can spread the work out.
Yeah, it's basically a normal part of the development.
Yeah.
And they're a regular team instead of an afterthought.
Yeah, but think of like easy localization must have been before the 64. Like obviously you still had some games that took a lot of work, RPGs and stuff on the Super Nintendo, everything. But think like the original Mario Brothers, right? How easy to localize Super Mario Brothers is, because it's like, what? There are 6 words total. No, actually, I think there's probably 37 words that needed to be changed into English, right? Throughout the whole game.
Yeah. I wonder if they had to. No, I guess
and the booklets too. You had to localize the booklets. That was part of the job. Yeah.
Yeah, and that often got screwed up, or was localized by someone else because it wouldn't match the game. I remember some like Angry Video Game Nerd episodes where like the box would have the game called one thing, and then the cartridge would call it something else, and then you boot it up and it would be a third name, and it's like, wait, what is the name of this game? I was just thinking, and in the old days, like they didn't change the programming at all. So due to like NTSC versus PAL, I guess I was more between the US and Europe, because Japan is NTSC too, right? In terms of their electricity.
Yeah, I think so.
I think. But yeah, I'm always amused at like older games that run slightly, I don't remember which, slower or faster if they're in PAL. Stuff like that.
There's this specific designation for older games, and it would literally just be the first 3 letters for Japan. So it'd be the JAP version.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think it ran at the same that ours did. I think Europe was the only weird one. And I think that's because there was just so much exchange between us and Japan at that time that we were pretty much just running on the same electricity frequency.
Yeah. Which is very interesting. They still haven't, I guess, what's the word, made everyone use the same electricity.
Oh, yeah. Europe's just crazy when it comes to electricity. I don't even have to say in just that format. Like, with electricity in general, I don't want to get into it. Europe, that's your problem. We don't have to deal with it unless we want to go visit. But, they need to figure... They should just adopt our system. It's better, honestly. We've been doing it slightly longer, too.
Well, I have 2 things, just since we're real close to the end.
Oh, we're past the end, so
you can't
however
do
long
anymore.
you want to go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm getting hungry. I haven't eaten anything.
That's why I said however you want to go.
Yeah, I was just going to add 2 things that you can no longer do. Number 1, download Genshin Impact on PS4.
Yes.
That's removed
gone.
It. So you can still play it if you have it. No, it's PS5 exclusive.
And I think in like 6 months, they're going to stop you from even being able to purchase anything in Genshin Impact from it. And then another like 2 months after that, or it might have it backwards. It might be 2 months that they stop you from purchasing, and then another 4 months after that or something, you stop playing it. But they're slowly getting to the point that they're discontinuing your ability to play it altogether. And the fact is, the game is just getting too much. Yeah, specifically PS4. It's getting too much for the PlayStation 4 to handle. I thought we covered this a little bit, that it was going to happen, but I don't remember if we talked about it or not. It would have been a while ago when they first announced it. But this is like the day where you can't download it anymore.
Yeah. And then I guess this was 10 hours ago they removed it. And the other thing is, play World of Warcraft on private servers, because Blizzard is taking them down one by one. They're like nuking. I think at least 3 different very large, very popular private WoW servers. They're just with their lawyers, they're nuking them.
Yeah.
So that's sad to see, but it's funny because obviously they're not giving players what they want, so they're having to do their own servers and customize them.
Yeah,
but you can get Borderlands 4 now.
Yeah.
Borderlands 4 is available now.
I'm not going
on PC.
to. I kept seeing that while I was trying to find stuff to talk about. I was like, this is just pissing me off that I keep seeing Borderlands 4 in my feed.
Yeah. Of course, Game Rant is claiming it's a big hit. It could be right. I've not looked into it, but we'll see if it's popular or not. That's all.
There was some stuff I wanted to talk about Genshin, but maybe next time. Because there was a very, very big expansion, and there's a lot of things changing because of it, but we're out of time. I'll try to remember if I feel like it next time. Maybe I'll have more to say by next time, too.
Yeah, at least it sounded like they're responding to players saying they're not getting enough freebies or, rewards and stuff.
Yeah, it's complicated.
We're just saying that.
They have been giving out more for the anniversary than they have in the past. They've even slightly outdone their other games lately for anniversaries, and some of their competitors. It's give and take there. But the new way that Genshin is working is great, and I would love to dive into that a little bit next Thursday, maybe. It's basically, it's not patch 2.0 because that was already a thing, but taking the patch numbers out of the way, we're basically moving into Genshin 2.0 in year 6. This, it almost feels somewhat like a different game than it used to feel, if that makes sense. And that would be fun to talk about, but we're out of time. Thank you guys for watching.
I will say, I was just going to quickly say that Silksong is still eating Borderlands 4's lunch, that they have a higher player count on Steam, even now, a week later or whatever, than Borderlands 4 seems to have peaked, just below it. Probably because of the price, I'm guessing. Anyway.
There was another one I wanted to talk about, because my brother finished Silksong, and he was mildly disappointed after finishing it.
Oh, that's too.
There's context to it. We could talk about that next time, if I remember. So again, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please share it out with other people. Get more people in here. If you're not following wherever you're watching, you should be, so that you catch us when we come live again, no later than Monday at the same time, 9 p.m. Central, for Super Serial Showtime. Be there. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.